invite you to come out and join us for our Christmas Eve service on Christmas Eve at 6 p.m. Please come out and join us.
Shop local first.
The economic health of our community rests with each of us, with our own pocketbooks. Economists tell us that the dollar spent at a local store is spent multiple times before it leaves our local area. From $1, you create $5 to $14 in value within the local area. The Miller Media Group and this local business encourage you to shop local first. First National Bank and Trust in Clinton. Do more with your money at First National Bank and Trust, member FDIC. This local business and the Miller Media Group ask you to shop local first.
Shop local first.
Today's morning show can be heard by downloading the free WHOW mobile app in your favorite store.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. My guest on the phone is Dr. David Mauser, Superintendent of Tri-Valley Schools. Good morning, Dr. Mauser. How are you, sir?
Good morning, Seth. I'm doing great.
Good to hear. Thanks for coming on and talking with us. And right off the bat, congratulations goes out to you, my man, and your new role at the Bloomington School District starting in the summer of next year. How about that transition for you?
Yeah, it's going to be a big one. It's exciting. I mean, obviously, I've been in Tri-Valley for, I guess, 25 years off and on. So I mean, I spent 2 years in a different district in Illini Central over in Mason City, but the bulk of my career has been in Tri-Valley. So it's one of those deals where I grew up in Bloomington Normal, and when District 87 opened, I just think the world of that district. I mean, the history, the diversity, the success that they've had, and so that's always kind of been one on my radar, I suppose. And so when that opened, I figured I would give it a shot. It was a national search, and I was blessed enough to get to have the opportunity to meet with the board and the teachers and some staff and principals and things like that, and it felt like a good fit. And so when it was offered, I was pretty excited to give that a shot. But that starts the whole new transition, right? So now it's second semester. We'll be looking at looking forward while making sure we're also taking care of business here and making sure we're set up for success. With both my replacement and whatever domino effect that may have moving forward. So
Sure.
we're excited. Things are great at Tri-Valley, and I'm excited for the change as well.
Sure. Well, a lot to go off of there, Dr. Mauser. But first of all, with it being just right up the road, how much do you watch what is happening in because Bloomington and Normal, those are bigger districts. I'm sure you watch what happens in places like Hayworth or, Monticello, Clinton, schools that are more up your alley in terms of the size of their district. But how much do you pay attention to the things happening in Bloomington and Normal, just in terms of the academics or maybe the budgetary challenges they have or whatever the case may be? Like, how much are you actually watching when you're not interested in that gig, so what you're kind of getting into when that interview process starts? Does that make sense?
Absolutely. We watch closely, and we work together. I think at the end of the day, education is about relationships, and it's always about what's happening in classrooms with teachers and kids, regardless of the size of the district. I mean, there's a lot of similarities with stuff we're dealing with, and clearly there's more diversity at Bloomington than there is at Tri-Valley. But we worked with their superintendents, Dr. Barry Riley, and I have worked. He's been a mentor of mine, I would say, for the last 7-8 years, and I think as we work as a regional office of education, as we come together as superintendents and share, what's working and the challenges and those kinds of things, there's no doubt that, Unit 5 and Bloomington District 87 are leaders in the area. And so, a lot of us kind of turn to see what's happening there because of the number of kids that they have and the number of families that they serve and some of the things that are going on. And we also can get a pretty clear idea as to kind of what's coming up through the community that may filter out and hit some of our smaller districts. But ultimately, at the end of the day, yeah, we do pay attention and we all work together. And Bloomington's about 5 times the size of Tri-Valley, but I believe at the end of the day, it's about relationships created, and we have a lot of respect for the work that's going on inside Bloomington Normal.
A really out of left field question here, Dr. Mauser. Unit 5 or a unit district versus just like a District 87 type of a thing. What's the difference between those two things?
Well, a unit district just means it's all the buildings combined. So I think elementary through high school. So Tri-Valley is a unit district. So a lot of times they'll be, especially if you go up north, and there's some places throughout the state. I think Lincoln is this way too. You've got a high school district and then like a K-8, and Washington has that. A lot of places up north, but a unit district simply means you're serving pre-K through 12.
So with your district that you'll be going into, what are the grade levels there that you'll have to watch?
Pre-K through 12. So there's 7 elementary schools that include the pre-K building, and then there's a junior high building that's dedicated to 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, and then a Bloomington High School, which is your 9 through 12. And it also, Bloomington High School also houses the Bloomington Area Career Center, which is pretty exciting. And so we actually send kids from Tri-Valley. I know a lot of schools in the area send kids into Bloomington for their career and technical education programming that they have in there. So there's just some really great things happening, and yeah, it's exciting. It's pretty big. There'll be lots to do.
I can only think of one other time where I've talked with a superintendent where they are transitioning to a new role rather than just stepping out of the one they have for retirement or whatever the case may be. In fact, it was Dr. Kristen Kendrick-Weichel, who is Unit 5's superintendent. So my question to you, Dr. Mauser, is as you kind of transition yourself into now getting more intimately involved in the happenings at District 87 and the things going on there, how do you also keep track of, or not keep track, but I mean, there's a lot to balance with maintaining your district and transitioning to a new district. Just how about that piece to all of this?
Yeah, it's about setting priorities, and obviously my priority 1 is going to be Tri-Valley and making sure I'm doing everything I can to make sure that the transition is a good one. I feel like the work I've done here, that we've done, I should say, over the last 8 years, has put us in a position, I think, to have things like our budgetary processes in order. We've got people in the right places. We've got our maintenance and transportation running smoothly. We've got excellent principals, and we've got curriculum running like it's supposed to, and working with that, and teachers on board. And so when you look at it from that sense, we just completed the $17 million remodel of the high school, so our facilities are in order, our roofs are in order, those kinds of things. And so it's a nice transition. It really is. And so it's a time for me to be able to be proud, I think, of the work that we've done, but then also be able to hand it over to somebody that maybe can even take it a little bit further. And so, I'll be balancing time, there's no doubt about it. I'll have to spend some time in District 87, and I'm looking forward to that, because again, if it's about relationships, I need to create those. And while I know, a lot of people in the district, and I know a lot of folks, that are in leadership roles, I want to make sure that I'm doing my part to make sure they know who I am and what I'm about, and make those community partnerships that we're going to need to make to be successful. So yeah, we're going to be busy over the next semester for sure, until July 1st.
For sure. Well, anything else about the transition come to mind for you, sir, that maybe I haven't asked about that you want to make sure we know?
No, I think you covered it. It's just we're going from blue and gold to purple and gold. I think I can make it work.
Sure. Very good. Well, best of luck in that endeavor. So what is for again, Dr. David Mauser, Tri-Valley School Superintendent, on the phone with us. So with your role, when does the board begin that search? What does that process look like? How about those things?
So that's a great question. I was really upfront with our board early on in this process. I wanted to let them know that I'd applied one place. I had not applied for another position in 15 years. So this is something I wanted to be really transparent about with them. So they knew it was coming and that it was a possibility. And then when obviously it began to happen, we started to have more conversations. They met as a board and made the decision to begin this process by looking internally. We do have 2 excellent principals here that both have their superintendent endorsements and have had a lot of experience. We've worked collaboratively over the last 8 years to really do everything that we're doing, and so our administrative meetings, we focus on district issues, building level issues, and trying to support one another in the process. And so, they both have a really clear understanding of our finance, the daily operations, things that need to happen, and the relationships with the board and community. So we have 2 great candidates. Those candidates will actually interview tomorrow evening at a special board meeting for that purpose, solely for that purpose. And then our board will begin that process to see if they feel they've got the next superintendent right here, right now.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. If can you do that? Can you start internally and then say, well, if those aren't the candidates that fit the district best, then can you go out and advertise the position? Like, I know there's, I don't know, sometimes with government jobs there, it's kind of different with how you go about filling those. Is that does that question make sense, I guess?
Yeah, they can absolutely do that. So I think early on it's about just kind of seeing what you have internally, and if those boxes are checked, it makes a lot of sense, because we've got some autonomy in the district. You've got folks that have worked, together and kind of understand what's going on, and they've taken on leadership positions within the district too. So, you got the familiarity, and it makes a lot of sense. But I think if they feel like the boxes are checked, or if the board of education feels like we need to look elsewhere for experience elsewhere, they'll certainly open up at that point. So,
Gotcha.
that remains to be seen. But I would expect they're going to be really impressed with both of our candidates that we have internally. Both have been principals here and done great, and I think we'll see how that shakes out.
Mm-hmm.
And my role is going to be to make sure the room is available and they've got an opportunity to I love both these candidates, and I mean they're team members of mine. So it's going to be a little challenging, but I think when you got great people, you give them a shot at it, and that's what happened with me. That's how I ended up in this position.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Sure. Well, and what's interesting, Dr. Mauser, is once that decision is made by your board, you're going to have to introduce that individual to your role and all the the ins and outs of it, which I'm sure there's not a lot of curveballs that are going to be thrown their way or anything like that. But I mean, it is a transition nonetheless, and then you're going to be transitioned over. So, man, just lots of transition for sure. And with that said, Dr. Mauser, I mean, transition is often scary, or I don't want to say scary, but just leaves people a little uneasy and such. What's been the response from the community during this time, and how's the community responded?
It's been amazing. I can't even begin to describe to you. You worry, right? I mean, I think when you invest time and emotional energy into a place like I feel like I have here at Tri-Valley, I love Tri-Valley, and I love the people here and the kids and the teachers. And so I was really worried, and I think that about what the reaction might be, but it's just been one of total support. I mean, honestly, people have reached out and just been, so gracious and kind, and thankful for the work that we've done, but also, happy for me. And I felt the same from Bloomington District 87. And because I have some familiarity, because they have a little familiarity with Tri-Valley, and then also with me having grown up in Bloomington Normal, the feedback has been really positive. And so that's been really good. I was concerned about it, but honestly, it's been overwhelming, to be very honest. It's been overwhelming
Cool.
In a really positive way.
Good deal. Well, Dr. Mauser, I'll tell you what, let's take a time out here and let's dive into the business of Tri-Valley Schools, what's going on in your district and those sorts of things. Dr. David Mauser is the superintendent of Tri-Valley Schools, my guest on the phone, and we've got a lot more with him coming up here on the WHOW Morning Show.
Connected. Let's check the markets now on the RFD Radio Network on this Monday. I'm Jim Taylor. Corn, beans, and wheat all lower at this hour. December corn 5.82 3/4, down 5 3/4. March corn down 5 3/4, 5.84 1/4. December 22 corn 5.43 1/2, down 7 1/2. January beans 12.52 3/4, down 15. March beans down 14 1/2, 12.59 3/4. November beans 12.35 1/4, down 13 1/2. December wheat 7.79 1/4, down 2 3/4. March wheat down 2 3/4, 7.82 1/2. July wheat down 4 1/4, 7.78 3/4. January bean meal 363.60, down 3.20. January bean oil 53.73, up 4 cents. In the livestock market at this hour, December live cattle down $1.02, 135.82. January feeders down 85, 164.02, and December lean hogs 72.52. Down 52 cents. So look at the markets on this Monday. Jim Taylor, RFD Radio.
MR Systems Wireless has an immediate opening. They're looking for a full-time internet installer to perform the initial setup of wireless internet and voice over IP services, as well as troubleshoot and repair wireless and phone services for customers. You'll be responsible for the basic installation and maintenance of wireless equipment. No experience necessary. Includes health benefits, mileage reimbursed. Starting pay is $15 an hour. Find out more and apply by going to mrsystemswireless.com, then clicking About, then Employment. Equal Opportunity Employer.
This is John Carter, Chief of Police in Monticello. As a law enforcement officer, I've seen the impact that depression and suicide have on people. Many times, those contemplating suicide endure considerable suffering and distress. But there is help. If you feel depressed or lonely, there are many resources to help you. Call a trusted relative, friend, or minister, or call the Suicide Prevention Lifeline toll-free at 800-273-TALK. That's 800-273-TALK. All of us are here to help.
Tell Amazon Alexa, play WHOW Radio to hear the morning show and all our programming right there on your Amazon Echo.
Once again, good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. Dr. David Mauser, Superintendent of Tri-Valley Schools, is my guest on the phone here for this morning. So, Dr. Mauser, getting to the business of Tri-Valley. A lot of school districts right now are really dealing with a spike of COVID cases within their student body, and that's leading to increased numbers of quarantined students and all of those things. What are you folks dealing with over there in Tri-Valley right now?
Well, we are certainly not immune to the same thing, and that's what we've been dealing with. And so it's been, Seth, it's been all hands on deck. For us, we saw a pretty significant spike, like a lot of folks did, just prior to Thanksgiving and right after Thanksgiving. And we had, in terms of our district, we had about 36, almost 40 total cases at one point here, right the first week of December. So 31 positive kids and then several positive teachers, which caused us to have lots of subs. Our principal at the elementary was subbing classes. I subbed a strength and conditioning class. A couple, we were just all jumping in, and that's what had to happen to keep kids in school. But last week our numbers decreased, dramatically, almost by half. And so, we're hoping we can, limp through this week, and we got finals this week at the high school. So kind of an open campus model there, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So that'll help. But it's been tough, no doubt about it. I mean, we've learned a lot though between this year and last year, and we definitely are close contact and contact tracing differently. The IDPH allows us to, if kids are masked, we don't have to close contact if they're, more than 3 feet apart. And so that helps tremendously for us. We've been able to kind of strategically put kids, apart from one another when we can. And, as long as they're wearing those masks, the health department doesn't make us close contact. And so we've not seen a ton of spread at school. We've seen some, but ultimately we're getting by. We're making it happen. And that's, something we're going to be real proud of. I'm going to tell you right now, come December 17th, everyone here is ready for a break. Our teachers need it. They are just, rock stars. I don't know how else you say it. Covering each other's classes, not complaining, jumping in to do whatever it takes. Like, it doesn't happen everywhere. And so I'm just so proud of the Tri-Valley staff, the teachers, the aides, the cooks, everybody. So it's been awesome in that sense, but we're going to get through this. We've done it before. We'll do it again.
Well, I sure hope you didn't put those poor kids to shame in that strength and conditioning class that you subbed in for, dropping those 2 plates on the bench and, probably, I don't know, good 3 or 4 on the squat rack and
ripping off those squats.
Oh man, picking up those 60-pound dumbbells for the,
right now. That's something we need to talk about. They need to get deeper on their squats.
Don't we all? Don't we all, though, Dr. Mauser?
I suppose we do.
Oh, man. No, for sure. But, and I wonder, Dr. Mauser, I asked, I think it was Dr. Zimmerman, I asked this last week, too. It feels like the way this school year is playing out, especially as it relates to COVID, it feels like it's playing out real similar to last year. Right before Christmas, I know a lot of schools dealt with a surge in cases and quarantine and all of those things. Are you seeing correlation between last year and this year at all?
Absolutely, we are. It's unbelievable, really. It's almost like you can predict, in a given month what it's going to look like. So, but yeah, early in the year last year, we didn't see a lot of positive cases, and they started trickling up. We shut down right before Thanksgiving, and then afterwards to let it cool out. And then, this year we stayed in, but we've definitely seen it. Now I'm hoping, second semester, we start to see a decrease. And, there's no doubt about it. When you look at our data too, I think it's important to say our vaccinated kids in the high school are not, we're not seeing the spread there. We're not seeing the cases. When you look throughout our district, that when we really got hot and had a lot of positive cases, the vast majority were non-vaccinated students in elementary and middle school. And we just were not seeing the spread. In fact, when we had the 40 cases throughout the district, we had 0 positive cases of students at the high school. And we got about a 70% vaccination rate there, which is pretty incredible.
Good stuff. So hopefully things kind of smooth out after the Christmas break. You mentioned, of course, Friday is the last day for the first semester, and Dr. Mauser, I can't believe it. It's already the end of the first semester. That went by pretty quick, I feel like.
It has. And just from a personal perspective, I've been thinking about my kids. My daughter was a freshman when that March 2020 hit, and it's just, I guess, her entire high school's been COVID related in some way or another, masks or, pauses or quarantines or whatever. And so, it seems like yesterday, but it seems like it's been forever too. And so I think all of us have learned how to react in the moment, how to plan to be able to do that, but then also really appreciate the things that we have when we get to go. And so, it's right now we're really focused on that social and emotional piece for kids and making sure that they feel comfortable and are doing well. And our kids have done well. So we're just we're hopeful that we're going to have a better second semester, that this is going to eventually improve or just become something we deal with, mitigate, and move on from.
Yeah. Well, speaking of second semester, Dr. Mauser, looking to it, what are you looking forward to? What's on the radar as you think of those things?
Well, I mean, for me, it's obviously this transition. And when I talk about the transition, I'm not just talking about me personally. It's making sure that my work here is done so that the person that steps in for me can hit the ground running, and there's not those bumps in the road that you'd have with the transition at times. And so I want to make sure that the work here is done so that everybody's in good shape. So that's really the focus that I have. Curriculum wise, we're working on, we've got our curriculum coordinator that's been working with us on getting everything squared away K through 8 to be able to go online so our public can actually see all of the curriculum that we're using. We're calling Viking Essentials, which is really our state standards boiled down into what we believe is most important that we're going to spend our time on, and then also the resources that are used in classrooms. So that'll be public. Looking forward to that.
Sure. Well, Dr.
Building,
Mauser, I don't mean to cut you off. I apologize. I do need to let you go. Dr. David Mauser, Superintendent of Tri-Valley Schools, my guest on the phone. Network News is next.
All right. See you.